This Late Night Linux family podcast is made possible by our patrons. Go to latenightlinux.com/support for details of how you can join them. Support us on Patreon for access to ad-free episodes and early releases. That's latenightlinux.com/support. Hello and welcome to episode 350 of Late Night Linux, recorded on the 8th of September 2025. I'm Joe, and with me are Félim.
Hello.
Graham.
Good evening.
And Will.
Hello.
Lots of news to get into then. A new layer of security for certified Android devices. It basically boils down to, if you want to make an app that people can sideload on an Android device, you as a developer have to be verified and certified with Google, giving them various details about you. And this is bad news for sideloading, but only on official Google devices. Félim, you will be fine and unaffected with your Lineage installation.
Still think it's a bit of a control grab, though.
Very much so.
For good reason, though, I think. The stats say that it's 50 times more likely to be a malicious application that is sideloaded than it is a legitimate one. Presumably that's just that there are 50 times more malicious sideloaded apps than there are normal ones. So I do think that it's the right thing to do to try and protect users from themselves in this way. But it feels like there could still be a very nested 10 levels deep option to just allow you to switch stuff on. Maybe there will be somewhere buried in the settings, but I kind of feel like this is for the right reasons.
It sounds like getting a passport check at Saddam Hussein Airport in like 1987. Oh yeah, we'll check the identities of all these people to make sure they're legit. Oh, sure you will, Google. No thanks.
But if you're the sort of person who wants to sideload apps, explicitly wants to sideload apps, rather than somebody's told you about this free app you can get and, you know, you should definitely get it. If you absolutely want to sideload apps, then surely you'll be running something like Lineage anyway, and so this won't really affect you.
You might not be able to, but you might want to install something like Signal if you're a journalist, say in a country who doesn't like journalists. But, you know, if Signal don't play the dance right in the country that's of the place, then, you know, I don't know. What sort of backhand deals has Google done in China? We don't know, because they have them with China. Lots of companies like Apple made deals to sort of get into that market, so we don't really know where and what they're doing with that information.
Well, Will, one word for you, or is it two words? New Pipe. I could not do without New Pipe on my phone, I feel like. For people who don't know, that is basically free YouTube Premium.
Shh. Stop telling people about it.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, definitely don't use New Pipe. But I want to sideload that. Or sideloading, like, this is a very loaded term, haha. But it's like, fuck that term, quite frankly. I want to install software on the phone that I paid money for. And I want to install New Pipe on my phone. But I also want it to work with all of my banking apps flawlessly without ugly hacks. And so I keep it completely stock, locked bootloader, all the rest of it. But I want to watch YouTube, or I want to listen to YouTube in the background, and I don't want to pay Google for the privilege.
Or you don't want Google inserting all their random stuff into what you believe to be a FOSS binary either.
Well, I'm not concerned about that, because how it's going to work, by the sounds of things, is the developer has to verify themselves with Google by giving them their name and address and, you know, various details, and potentially proving that with government ID, that sort of thing, in order to get a signing key. And then after that, that's it. Google's not going to look at the applications, not going to fuck with them. You just have to sign it with the key that you've agreed with Google to prove that you are who you say you are.
Any more than they do already, I think, is the phrase you need to insert there.
So no, I'm not worried about Google putting in malware and, you know, shit like that. Like, I'm not concerned about that. Graham, you've got a stock Pixel now. Do you sideload anything?
I do. There's a few things. And I'm a bit conflicted about this. I feel like it's an essential part of why I choose Android, and I absolutely want to have the opportunity to sideload things. However, I also recognize that for the vast majority of people, 99.9999%, it's a significant threat. And I have seen cases where online instructions seem to guide you towards installing an official APK of something, which I know full well isn't. And I can well imagine people following those instructions and installing something that's completely untracked. And, you're screwed in that situation. This reminds me of the way that Apple allows you to build and deploy your own things to your own iPad, which I really don't like. And I just wish there was a better way. I mean, as owners, can we sign off on the liability of this kind of thing and then be permitted to install whatever we want, rather than the onus being on the developer? I think I'd rather it that way around. I'd be prepared to do that.
There should be a 50-page PowerPoint and a quiz at the end of it that you can answer.
Yeah.
Well, like Will said, 10 levels deep, or, like developer options, you got to tap the build number 5 times or whatever it is. Like, things like that, fine. Make it difficult, but make it possible.
Yeah.
But Google have just given up as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if you've installed the latest update, the September one, Graham, but it just looks like an iPhone now. Like the whole design language, I'm looking at it now. The Wi-Fi symbol, the battery, and the 4G or whatever, 5G mobile signal indicator, just it looks like an iPhone now. It feels like Google have just given up and just decided like they tried everything they possibly can to get American young people to use Android. They've all said, no, we're using iPhones, so, well, we'll just make it look like an iPhone then. And we'll make it behave like an iPhone as well with this bullshit that they're pulling.
Yeah, and for a long time, Google hasn't cared about the edge cases. Once upon a time, I think it did, but no longer. They realised it doesn't bring them anything, so they're not interested in supporting it. And we don't have any other choices.
No realistic ones.
If only some rich benefactor could get us all aboard that could be decent and then people could build from.
If only. Alyssa Rosenzweig is stepping away from Asahi Linux, and she's got a job with Intel now, working on graphics driver stuff. This is not good for Asahi. So for those who don't remember or don't know, this is the project to make Linux run natively on Apple Silicon Macs M1 and M2. And the lead developer, Hector, left not that long ago. Also, Asahi Lina left. And now Alyssa has left. And it just doesn't look great for the project long term, does it? They've done the M1 and M2. They're working great. I mean, my M1 MacBook Air works great with Linux. But M3, M4, it's not looking like they will probably ever get it working on them now, I wouldn't have thought. It's very sad.
It is very sad, but I think also we should just stop for a moment and celebrate the work that has been done, which is getting that graphic stack upstream in Mesa working with Vulkan and OpenGL. That's an incredible achievement.
Oh, yeah, it is. And it surely won't be that long before Apple abandons the first generation, the M1s. Even though they could now keep them going indefinitely, they won't. That's not their business model. In the next few years, probably, they'll stop getting security updates. And yeah, some of the low-level stuff will never get updated again after that. But at least day-to-day, you'll be able to run an up-to-date Linux system with an up-to-date browser and stuff, thanks to the work of the Asahi team. Because I don't think it's going to go away. I think it's just maintenance mode now, essentially, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And it means that my M1 MacBook Air will probably live until the SSD dies. But the passion seems to have gone from it now, and people have moved on. And that's always the danger with small open source projects.
Is it not also the danger of backing a hardware project which is kind of one vendor, one supplier, very tightly controlled? It's a shame, but I don't know. I wouldn't be hoping for support for any of these projects ever. It was great that they did what they did, but long term, is that the way we want to see projects go or hardware go? I don't think so.
Félim, you put this in consultation on the review of the DMA. This is some EU bollocks, not my problem.
This is the Digital Markets Act, and they are looking for feedback on it, and they want people who are either a person or a company or involved with projects to get in touch and let them know how it affects them, how better it could be done, whatever. And, you know, I think in these cases, it's nice that normal people or FOSS people can get involved and make sure that it's not just the likes of the big corporates who get to have a say. So it is available. If anybody's willing to do it, go do it. It'll be great.
You should put the URL for this on the side of a bus.
Oh, would it be a red bus?
Yeah, that might work, yeah.
Ah.
Okay, this episode is sponsored by Tailscale. Go to tailscale.com/LNL. Tailscale is a proper VPN for connecting your devices and infrastructure together. It's the easiest way to connect devices and services to each other wherever they are. PCs and laptops, servers, cloud instances, 3D printers, network storage. Connect anything and everything you want, wherever it is, and get started in minutes. Tailscale's personal plan will always be free, and you get up to 100 devices and 3 users for free with no credit card required. So support the show and go to tailscale.com/LNL and try Tailscale out today. Or if you want to use Tailscale at an industrial scale, with more users and devices, or take advantage of features like MDM policies, auditing, network flow logging, and priority support, try it out at work using the code Linux25. You'll get 3 free months of any Tailscale paid plan, and you can find out why thousands of companies like Instacart, Hugging Face, and Duolingo have switched to Tailscale. That's code Linux25. We've finally got something of a resolution in the Department of Justice case against Google, with them being a monopoly. It's quite complicated, but the one aspect of it that I was particularly looking out for was, is this going to destroy Mozilla and Firefox, essentially? Because, as we all know, Google has a deal with Mozilla to make Google the default search engine in Firefox, and they pay handsomely for the privilege. Most of, or the majority of, Mozilla's revenue comes from this.
And thank God Mozilla have that revenue to make sure they have a great product at the end of the day.
Indeed, yes. But there was a very serious danger that that revenue stream was going to get cut off as a result of this. But the ruling has come down. It can still be challenged and appealed and all the rest of it. But it looks like Mozilla are going to be fine. So we should celebrate, I think.
Yeah, thank God Firefox didn't have to finally think and work on its own 2 feet for once in its life and not be the absolute shambling shit show that it is. Thank God that didn't happen.
Look, the executives can keep their fat salaries. That's what counts here.
And it wouldn't have happened, Félim. You know, Mozilla would have just crumbled.
I can still bitch and moan about the thing that wouldn't have happened anyway, but I would love to have happened. I mean, come on, give me something.
I know, maybe people would have put the 4 of us in there. That would have helped.
I do genuinely think this is, at least as far as browsers go, good news.
Is it not just more no upsets and continue as is? It's not really things have got better, though.
No, things have not got better, but they've not gone catastrophically wrong. We've not lost Firefox.
I don't know. I still think that maybe this is what Firefox needed.
They would have been gone within months if the money dried up.
Well, yeah, the board would have, and that might have been the best thing that ever bloody happened.
Well, but then, you know, we've talked about this. I said that someone needs to do a proper fork. It needs to be funded somehow to the point where they can pay the developers to come over to this new fork, because, you know, the developers working on Firefox earn a lot of money because it is a difficult job, a very skilled job, and it's a competitive market. They can command high salaries, rightfully so, fair play to them all. But if there's no money, they're going to have to go and work on something else, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess. There really is just no hope for it, though, is there?
Yes, there is. Don't be so negative.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No, I genuinely do think that this is good short-term news. Hopefully it's like a short, sharp shock, to quote that fella in the Pink Floyd song. Like, hopefully this will wake them the fuck up that, like, shit, we could lose this Google money. We need to do something about it.
Oh, now who's the gullible fool? Jesus Christ. This is oh my God, I've got an extension on my essay. I don't know. I'm going to leave it until the last night of the next time. Fuck's sake. Come on.
They kind of do their homework on Friday night and enjoy the weekend, Félim. I truly believe this. Well, they're adding Copilot as yet another AI bullshit chatbot, or at least they've done it to the nightly build, so it's probably coming. So that's good, isn't it? Yeah. We love that sort of thing.
Brilliant.
Mm.
Yeah.
What about 32-bit Linux support is going to end next year for Firefox? I think it's about time, isn't it?
Does that include ARM, though?
No, this is 32-bit x86,
Okay.
to be clear.
Yeah, then see you later.
Yeah, I mean, even Debian is not supporting 32-bit going forward. So, yeah, 32-bit x86, I should say. Yeah, it's just the time. The time came and went years ago. So, it's time to just take that old hardware to the recyclers or to a museum or to my drawer with my various 32-bit laptops. But interestingly, you're going to be able to use Firefox on Windows 7 and 8 and 8.1 or whatever until March next year. They've extended that.
There's clearly a US battleship that still runs it or something like that.
No, surely that would all be running IE 6 or something. But it goes to show that there's a lot of Windows 7 users out there still. I mean, I see it occasionally in the wild in like supermarkets and stuff. All right, let's wind up Félim and talk loads about AI. So AI is now being used to help determine patches for backporting in the Linux kernel.
I've seen it not manage to run Python process in a multi-process module. How it's going to patch a kernel, just stop. Honestly, make it stop. It's all shite.
All right, Jimmy Wales says Wikipedia could use AI. Editors call it the antithesis of Wikipedia.
Correct. Jimmy Wales is, like usual, fucking wrong. Quite successful, apparently making a lot of money, but he's Jesus.
He had one very good idea, though, didn't he? And he's sort of been dining out on it ever since, hasn't he?
I haven't read what Jimmy Wales has said about AI on Wikipedia, but to play devil's advocate, I could see that running an LLM on all the content in Wikipedia and then reminding you if something else has already been written in a certain way or a subject has already been covered in a certain way when you're working in an article as a kind of cursor-like IDE for contributing to Wikipedia would be helpful at improving the human written content on Wikipedia.
Well, this particular case is giving feedback to people who are trying to create new articles.
Jesus Christ. I can't fucking keep it.
Go on.
I just want to fly my fist through the screen right now. Yeah, let's correct humans with an incorrect fucking review of an article based on all the shit of the fucking internet and Reddit and 4chan and 8chan and fuck knows what. And yeah, let's have it destroy the fucking decency of a new contributor. Fuck off. Honestly. Jesus fucking Christ. Why don't we just mail them a shit in a fucking box the second they hit the edit button? Like, fuck off.
Anyway, Perplexity is launching a new revenue share model for publishers. Is the tide slightly turning? Are we getting to the point where they throw a few pennies at the people whose work that they've built their plagiarism machines on?
No, is the answer. It's like the water companies in the UK compensating us for 2 decades of shit management. It's never going to happen.
Literally shit management, yeah.
Yeah.
Creaming profits off while not investing in the water system. And now we have literal shit flowing into the rivers every time it rains.
Sunny uplands.
Brexit benefits. All right, well, at least Vivaldi have said they're not going to put generative AI in their browser. Of course, Vivaldi is not FOSS. A lot of it is open source, except for the UI, which they see as like their value add to it because it's Chromium based. But it is good. I think it's worth giving them a shout out as one of the very few companies that is willing to take a stand on this and say, no, a web browser should just be a portal to the web and not like just loads of AI bullshit.
How depressing is that the only one literally, bar a very niche projects, is the one that's actually doing the right thing? How fucking pathetic has software got? Thanks, Firefox. Thanks,
Mozilla, yeah.
Yes, fine. One thing that was quite interesting was the fact that Vivaldi is a private company, and they were making the point that because pretty much all the other browser companies are public companies, they're almost forced into this AI hype train because they have to be seen to be doing it. So yeah, maybe public companies that are too big maybe shouldn't be doing these things. I don't know.
Well, just look at Apple, right? For the longest time, they resisted the AI bollocks. But then, due to investor pressure, they had to jump on the bandwagon. Obviously, they had to be Apple about it and call it Apple intelligence rather than artificial intelligence. But they were forced into it, rushed it, did a shit job, an even worse job than everyone else. And now, supposedly, they're like losing the AI arms race. When in reality, what they should have done and what Tim Cook should have done, the spineless prick, kissing the ring. I don't even want to get into that. But anyway, what he should have done was have some guts and say, no, we're not getting into this AI bollocks. It's a fad. It'll pass. And we will be the standout company. But because of the way investors and everything works, I suppose he couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, this episode is sponsored by 1Password. If you're a security or IT professional, you've got a mountain of assets to protect. Devices, identities, and applications which can add up to a mountain of security risks. Fortunately, you can conquer that mountain with 1Password Extended Access Management. Over half of IT pros say securing SaaS apps is their biggest challenge. Thankfully, Trellica by 1Password can discover and secure access to all your apps, managed or not. Trellica by 1Password inventories every app in use at your company. Then pre-populated app profiles assess SaaS risks, letting you manage access, optimize spend, and enforce security best practices across every app your employees use. Manage shadow IT, securely onboard and offboard employees, and meet compliance goals. Trellica by 1Password provides a complete solution for SaaS access governance, and it's just one of the ways that Extended Access Management helps teams strengthen compliance and security. 1Password's award-winning password manager is trusted by millions of users and over 150,000 businesses, from IBM to Slack. And now they're securing more than just passwords with 1Password Extended Access Management. Plus, 1Password is ISO 27001 certified. With regular third-party audits, 1Password exceeds the standards set by various authorities and is a leader in security. Take the first step to better security for your team by securing credentials and protecting every application, even unmanaged shadow IT. Learn more at onepassword.com/late-night-linux. That's onepassword.com/late-night-linux, all lowercase. Stephen Dearbold is out of the job of Gnome Executive Director after 4 months. This is unexpected to me because he seemed very promising. He talked about making loads of positive changes. He made quite a lot of positive changes in the 4 months. So I was very, very surprised when I read the blog posts about this.
Do you think it's our fault? It's because we were relatively positive about him that they...
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Yeah, we should have done the Mozilla thing, innit? Like, just shout on them loads and then they would have just stuck to their guns.
I think this is really quite shocking. I mean, 4 months, unless you're an absolute disaster, is no time to have any kind of impact. And as you just said, it seemed to me that what he was trying to do was the right thing. He wanted to change things. So I don't know. It's almost like the board didn't like what was happening. I don't know.
Yeah, because clearly things have not been going very well. They've been through several executive directors in the last couple of years, and they don't seem to last very long.
And they seem to run out of money awful bloody quick the last time as well, so I don't know what they're spending it on that they're doing so badly with it.
Well, it's all transparent what they're spending it on, but yeah, they're not bringing enough in. But Stephen definitely talked about ideas about how to get money. I mean, that was his job, wasn't it, essentially? The executive director's job is to raise money, or that's one of the big aspects of the job. And he looked like he was doing a good job of that. I don't know. But when you have that many people coming and going so quickly, it sort of speaks to problems with the organization, doesn't it?
Yeah, has to be.
I think so. I mean, reading the word in the blog post on gnome.org, it's like, we are extremely grateful to Stephen for all this and more. Despite these many positive achievements, Stephen and the board have come to the conclusion that Stephen is not the right fit for the executive director role at this time. That doesn't sound like Stephen had much input there. But actually, GNOME is really important. I don't want to see GNOME go anywhere. We need to have this kind of equal and opposite pressure to the best desktop environment. So, I want to see them survive and succeed. And this just feels like they're directionless at the moment.
Rudderless.
Rudderless, that's it. Thank you.
The boat has woodworm.
But you're right, Graham. As much as Félim would love to gloat about them not doing well,
How dare you, sir?
it's good that we have GNOME and KDE.
Obviously, KDE is an awful lot better and better managed, better people involved, is just a general better desktop. But it's important that we have a 20% desktop lying around in the background to keep us on our toes.
More like a 10x desktop.
10x, yeah, that's it.
Well, let's hope that they sort their shit out, because it sounds like they fucking need to. Microsoft releases historic 6502 BASIC. I think, Will, you put this in. Are you excited about this nostalgia?
I mean, I didn't have a machine that it ran on, but the BBC computers all had 6502s on it. But this is the BASIC that Bill Gates and Paul Allen wrote for the 8800 back in 1975, which was then ported to other processors like the 6502 and the 6800 for things like the Commodore 64. So this is where a lot of people's first experimentation with software development would have started. And so to see that source code available on a public repository, completely openly licensed as well, is an amazing thing to happen to somebody who would have been playing around with BASIC in the 80s, for example, to think that Microsoft would then one day release it as open source. And they've done a few of these, and I know it's good for the headlines, but this, I think, is a little bit more important. I think this is an act of preservation for those old pieces of software, and I think it's something that we should celebrate.
They're trying to submarine patent into Linux. That's what they're doing.
Oh, come on. So is this the BASIC that I would have used on my Amstrad as a kid?
I don't think so. I think it was only really on the Altair and the Commodore machines. I don't think it was on many others.
And we believe that actually Bill Gates and himself wrote this, yeah?
He was certainly part of it. I think he worked in concert with a couple of other developers, with people from Commodore traveling to Microsoft's headquarters to work on it with him.
I see. I always thought there was some sort of scandal that they stole it from somebody or something like that.
Well, I remember stories about that he bought it from some kids and they paid them a paltry amount of money, but I think he did have some coding input on it.
He did a grep and a said to change anywhere where he said someone's name. Yeah.
It's funny, I moved to the Commodore 64 after an Acorn Electron, and I remember thinking how relatively inferior the Commodore 64 BASIC was to the BBC BASIC, with two exceptions, and that was Peek and Poke.
Jesus Christ, you lot are old.
Fuck off. Cultured is the word you're looking for.
Félim, you put this in, a link to the Irish Times, an article about the end of Windows 10 support and Zorin OS.
Yeah, I hadn't realised that the Zorin brothers were Ukrainian, which is quite cool. So they've been living in Dublin for, I think, very close on all their life. And they've been working on Zorin since 2008. It was part of the thing that we have over here called the Young Scientist Competition. I, unfortunately, even did it myself. I will never, ever swear what I did in it because it's shit. But they have worked on their own OS. And that they obviously aim to not necessarily copy, but inspire by Windows to help people who use Windows use Linux. And it was good to see that. But the main reason I include this was that poor Connor from the Linux lads spent about 45 minutes on the phone to the bloody reporter, who then didn't even give him the slightest of credit in the article for all of the work. He even suggested he go talk to the lads and stuff, and basically based his entire article on them. So Derek Scally, what a dick.
Wow, Scally by name, eh? Is that a word you have in Ireland? I presume you do, because Scousers say it.
Is it a scallywag?
Well, I think that's where it comes from, yeah.
Right, yeah, okay. So, yeah, well, clearly.
It means ne'er-do-well, and clearly he is for doing kind of dirty like that. Well, but anyway, it's good that a mainstream publication is talking about the end of 10 campaign and Linux and everything, and saying that
totally.
It's actually a viable option for a lot of people now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, I did not realise that A View to a Kill, the Bond film from 1985, the baddie in that, played by Christopher Walken, is called Zorin. And so today I watched about half an hour of it, and it is a terrible, terrible, but hilariously bad film that I highly recommend so far. It is so 80s with Duran Duran doing the theme and everything. It's just brilliantly 80s and naff.
I seem to remember the video game conversion as well was pretty crap, although I spent a lot of time on it.
Which Bond is it?
It's Roger Moore, the best Bond.
Even though it's sacrilege for an Irish person to say that Pierce Brosnan wasn't the best Bond, I actually think Timothy Dalton was the best Bond. But anyway, seems that only me and about 3 other people thought that.
Well, growing up, I thought Roger Moore was Bond. And then I saw these Sean Connery ones. Like, who's this Joker? But then you get older and realise, no, Sean Connery is Bond, and it is Roger Moore who is the Joker. Right, well, we better get out of here then. We'll be back next week when who knows what it'll be. But until then, I've been Joe.
I've been Félim.
I've been Graham.
And I've been Will.
See you later.